Boom.
Go ahead.
Okay, we started.
Yeah.
Okay, we talked a little bit about the mess hall, and it got towards the end. You didn't have to stand at attention and parade rest. Towards the end of basic, probably the last few weeks, and we didn't get to go out. We didn't get a pass until halfway through, and it was only an in-town pass. And I believe we got to come home once before we finished. We used to go, Butch and I and 5 or 6 guys would go down to Columbia and walk around down there. And I remember we went to a I wasn't a Christian at the time, but we went to I guess it was a church that had coffee and drinks and cookies, homemade cookies. So we went in there and had that. There were 5 or 6 people in there. I just remember that. I don't remember much more than that. But anyway, I'm looking. One of the things, these are highlights. One of the things that we did was we would run out to the ranges, or either we would be trucked out to the ranges and run back when we had learning to shoot the M16. And when we were on a range, if you're on a rifle range, there were 40, 50, 60 guys, and most of them didn't know anything about a rifle, so it was very scary for the drill instructors. So the DIs were the only other time that they were really, you could see not fear, but very strained, was when we were on the, when we were going to throw a grenade. This is a pineapple grenade. This is the pin. We were going to throw, when we threw those, there was fear in their eyes. And I'll tell you about that in a second. But when we were on the rifle range, there were foxholes dug, or shooting positions, firing positions, I'm sorry. And you always called your rifle a rifle. You never called it a gun. It wasn't a gun. You called it a gun, you got to do a lot of push-ups, and everybody in your platoon got to do push-ups. There were different ways to do push-ups. There was the regular 2 count, 1, 2, ready? 1, 2, 3, and there was the 4 count push-up. What was it? 1, 2, 3, 1, 1, 2, 3, 2. Then there was the 8 count push-up, which was really not fun. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 1. And if you do 10 of those, you were toast. If you could do 10. And then they would put you in the front leaning rest, and they'd go, ready? Down. And they'd leave you there in that position with your arms, and they'd want you to keep them in like this, not like that, like this. Oh. And if you got down and touched, if they saw you now, if you could look up a little bit and see their boots, of course they may be over there watching you, try to get down to where your chest would touch the ground and have a little rest. So if you got up, they'd want you parallel to in a straight line, your body in a straight line. But if you could get up, raise your rear end up, you'd have a little relief. But then they would, if they came over and put a boot in your rear, then you were, yeah, that was something else. On the ranges. So they had the firing positions. So you'd get down there, you'd get 1 round, and put it in the chamber. You were down in the firing position, a foxhole, had sandbags, and you'd get up there. And of course, you'd been through all this training of how to shoot. And the way they would run it was, you'd get in the firing position, and they have DIs along there. They had a control tower, and he was the range guy, and he was watching what was going on. The DIs were manning the trainees, and he would say, you know, they'd get instructions to get in the pit, and they were going to shoot 1 round, however many rounds they had in their magazine. And so they'd get in there, and you know, they didn't use blanks, but they would just use not fire, but learn to learn how to hold the rifle and all. And then, and if you're going to shoot live rounds, the range master up in the control tower, the guys along the line, the DIs, would have a little, like a paddle. That's what we call it. It was round. It looked like a little bit bigger than a ping pong paddle. And one side was white, one side was green, and one side was red. I believe it was white and red. And so you always kept your rifle downrange. You did not point that rifle anywhere else but downrange, because you would be in big trouble, and a DI would be on top of you and snatch that rifle away from you or do something to you, and you would be in big trouble. And so when you got in your firing position, whether it be the prone or kneeling or whatever, the DIs would be looking at you and seeing what was going on. And then if you were ready to, and he would say, he'd look up and down, and when he saw that it looked like people were ready, he would say, firing line, is the firing line ready? Is the right ready? And the guys with the pedals would not only say yes, but they would hold up their paddles, either green side up to face the tower or the red side up. And they would then, and he would say, he would look down at it, and if everybody's ready, he would say, the control tower would say, the right is ready. And then he would say to the left, you know, whatever, is the left ready? And they'd hold up their paddles. The left is ready, and he'd say, look up and say, the right is ready, the left is ready, commence firing. So then the trainees would fire either one of the 3 rounds, or however many, if you were shooting a bullseye target, or if you were shooting silhouettes, if you had a large magazine. And then when he said cease fire, of course this was on loudspeakers, you had to stop. And if there was a shot, like he said, cease fire on the firing line. And so everything stopped, and then if there was a afterwards, 2 or 3 DIs would descend on that poor individual. Holy smoke. That either accidentally pulled the trigger, did not have it on safe, for some stupid reason it went off. And they would either drag him out by his collar, or you know, you had your helmet on, or they would take their poor little, their paddle, and they'd go over to that guy and go, BAM! And just hit that helmet, and just ring him like a bell. It was absolutely, well, I didn't do it, and I did see him do it to one guy, because I was standing in the back, and we chuckled inside very loud, but outside we just kind of chuckled. And one guy, remember, we was standing there, and he was talking, he was on the firing line, and he got up out of the foxhole. No, he was doing the standing position, because he wasn't up, because he was shooting, and they did a ceasefire, and he ceased firing. But somebody said something, and he had his rifle not up or not down, and he turned around, and he didn't have the boat back. And I thought the DIs were going to kill him. How fast, I was pleasantly surprised at how fast they got over there and took him down. And you know, I didn't look for him anymore after that. But I don't know where he went. But boy, he was, you know, he just disappeared. I'm sure they took him back, beat the stew out of him, and came back, but I don't know. So after we had and that's the way the lessons went on the rifle range. Very, very tense. And we would run back in formation, back to Tank Hill, which was, I don't know, a long ways away. And we would run, and there was this hill that went up right before you got to the barracks that we had a name for. It's Drag something Hill. And we ran up it, and we ran up in formations. Now, a formation is, you know, 1, 2, first, second, third, fourth squad running with the squad leaders in front. And I happened to be the 4th squad leader of 4th platoon. And so there are all these platoons running in front of us, and I'm the guy on the front right-hand side. So if I run fast, all these guys I'm setting the pace for these guys. They got to keep in line with me, and I've got to keep in line with the platoon in front of me. I've got to keep however many feet it is behind them. And the DIs are running along the side. And so I remember one time we were running up there and singing and counting cadence as we were running back. We got our weapons at port arms running. Here we go again, marching down the avenue. What is it? Marching down the avenue. I'm so glad when we'll be through. I won't have to look at you. You won't have to look at me. 11 more weeks and we'll be through. Oh, something like that. Here we go again. So anyway, we're going up that hill, and there's one of the fat boys in front of me, slowing down. So he's dropping down behind his platoon that's running, and I can't keep my distance from the platoon that I'm supposed to because this guy's slowing down and blocking, and there's a rail on the right side of the road right here. No place for him, no place over there for us to get around him, and I can't go to the left because the DI's there, yelling, and singing cadence. And so I, stop.
No, keep going.
So
You're close though.
we were getting up there and we're getting the DI screaming at me to move on, close the gap, close the gap, close the gap. So I just reached over and pushed him out of the way. Well, I was concentrating on why I didn't realize I pushed him over the railing there, I guess. And so, anyway, we closed the gap and got back up to the company area, and the company got in formed up in formation. Well, stopped running and marched and got in formation, did a left face, and we're listening. And all of a sudden, while I'm standing at that parade rest with everybody else, I wake up. I had gotten knocked out. I was standing there, and this guy that I pushed over, unbeknownst to me, had come up behind me and roundhoused me and just taken and wham and knocked me out. And my Puerto Ricans, I